Good day. A quick video that I think is going to be good or helpful for those who do not have a background with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. If you were to look in Blackboard now, I posted a section under course content called resources. And if you click on that, right click, come on. Okay. So if you click on that, you will see a number of links to YouTube resources, basically YouTube videos. My advice is if you have never done anything with HTML before, please go ahead and watch this HTML crash course. If you've never done anything with CSS before, go ahead and watch this one. If you've never done anything with JavaScript before, go ahead and watch this. Now, if you've never done anything with either a combination of those two or those three, then please, by all means, watch each of these videos. The good thing about this is, of course, you could go on Google and just type HTML, CSS, JavaScript tutorials, and you will get tons and tons of resources. But maybe it's me. I like the way the gentleman that did in the tutorial, I like the way he explains things, one. And two, I like the fact that each of them treats these topics separately. So HTML is not necessarily mixed with CSS in this case. And it's not also mixed with JavaScript. He actually, excuse me, please. He actually, treated each topic individually. And I think you will get more benefit from that. Now, after going through all three, or at least after going through this first two, HTML crash course, CSS crash course, then you can go through HTML, CSS for beginners. It's also it's like a playlist. And some of them you might find interesting, some of them you might not find interesting. But yeah. So go through HTML first and then CSS crash course next. Now, after going through those two, and if you feel a little bit more comfortable, now go through this third one, JavaScript crash course. This will tell you about what JavaScript is and what the function of JavaScript is in web development. For those who have experience with JavaScript before, if you have the time, by all means, please go through these JavaScript functions and arrays. You know what? PHP crash course might be useful, but most likely later on in the semester. So I would say probably leave this alone for now. Don't worry about this for now. I will mention when you should start looking into that. So again, HTML crash course, CSS crash course, and then JavaScript crash course. Okay, that should give you enough HTML, CSS, JavaScript to get you through this class. Now, having said that, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, what exactly is that? Well, when you think in terms of trying to say, okay, let me use the human body. When you think in terms of a human being, HTML is your bone, your skeleton, and CSS is what actually beautifies all of that. So HTML gives your web page the structure. CSS adds beauty to the structure. And then JavaScript adds dynamic functionality to the beautiful structure. HTML and CSS by itself is normally referred to as static web content or static web page. When you add JavaScript to it, then it becomes more dynamic, because with JavaScript, you can interact with third-party APIs. You can interact with the user. You can collect data from the user and things like that. You will learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript from those resources I posted in Blackboard, but I also will just give you a head start here. One of the things that you will need when it comes to developing, because once you start learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript, you are said to be a developer or to be developing. One of the things you will need is a development environment, right? You're not going to just write code in midair. You have to write it in something. You have to save it in a file. How you go about this, a lot of times over time becomes your own preference. Many people will use what is known as an IDE, that is an integrated development environment. When you use an IDE, you get the benefit of the IDE, and you'll see that we'll talk about that in a moment. But also, you don't have to use an IDE if you don't want to. You can just use the good old Notepad. Let me say this real quick. Whatever you do, do not use Microsoft Word. Do not use WordPad. Do not use anything that is rich text format. WordPad is rich text format. Google Docs is rich text format. Microsoft Word is rich text format. Okay? So, let's see. I'm using a MacBook, so let me see. I think I have what is known as text edit. Okay, text edit. Let me search for that. Can I find text edit? Text edit. I mean, edit. I'm just looking for. Okay, so. All right, so this is text edit for me on the Mac. On Windows, you might have Notepad. I think some people actually do install Notepad or Notepad++ on the Mac as well. But whatever you do, whatever plain editor you're using, just make sure that it can you can save your work without wrapping it up in some other markups. After showing you how to use text edit, I will show you how to use a better editor or an IDE. So for text edit on the Mac, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on format here, and I'll say make plain text, just to force it to be plain text. That's what I want. I don't want anything added to it. Then I love to always save my work early. So save. I want to save it in my CS298 folder. Let's say I want to create another folder just to represent this. My site, whatever you want to call that folder, it doesn't matter. Then the file itself, HTML files are saved with the .html extension. And traditionally, the first page on your website will be called index.html or home.html. There are other ways to reconfigure it, but let's stick with the basics for now. So index.html. All right. I want to save it inside this folder I called my site. Okay, if I click here now, boom, yeah, that's what I expect, because normally it wants to save it as .txt because it expects, since it's the plain text file, it's supposed to be .txt. But no, I want it to be HTML. So HTML. Again, you will learn this in the what's it called? In the crash courses. But every HTML page is divided into two. You have the head section and then you have the body section. So the head section goes something like this: head tag open, head tag close. The body section goes something like this: body tag open, and like you guessed, body tag close. Now everything in your HTML page will have to be between the head tag or between the body tag. Let's say we want to the basic, hello world. We want to write that out. So, oh, by the way, empty lines don't affect anything. If you need to include empty lines, by all means do. If you need to include indentations, tabs, whatever, feel free. Whatever makes it readable for you. The browser does not care about it. So let's say I want to put the hello world inside the P tag. P stands for paragraph. Again, you will learn that in the crash course, and a whole bunch of other tags as well. HTML is just a combination of tags. Or some might call them markups. So hello world, right? And then you want to close it. So we saved it before. Let's actually, before I resave it, let me look at the file. If I were to open this file, oh, it opened on another screen. Let me bring it here. So it looks to me like the Mac is automatically saving my work, right? So let's see. What if I do hello world there? It doesn't automatically, well, this might be saved, but the browser is not automatically reloading it, which is fine. So if I refresh this, yeah. So it looks to me like, it's automatically saving my text edit. And that's that, no big deal, nothing preachy about it, just that. But if you're going through the HTML crash course, all you have around you might just be a text edit. Now you can see how you can use a text edit to start out your HTML adventure. Now, this is all good. A better environment will be, what's it called? An integrated development environment, rather than just a plain text editor like this. What I used for the JavaScript class last semester is what is known as Atom. Though Atom is being discontinued, it's no longer supported, but I still have it on my laptop. So it's here. Okay. You can use this as well to generate HTML files. Let's say we want to create another file called save as. In this case, let me save this as under my site. I'm going to call this index2.html. So I can always type my HTML code here. Again, head. But you see, right away, unlike what you saw in WordPad, in TextEdit, this is giving me context menus, so I can easily select that, and then slash head. Yeah, okay. I actually messed that up for me a little bit, but body. Okay. So I can, let's say I want to use the H1 tag or H2 tag. In this case, this is using Atom. Again, I'm not going to advise anybody to download Atom, even if it's available to download, because it's no longer supported. So you don't want to You're downloading it. Again, save. Actually, real quick. So let's see. I do not believe that Atom automatically saves. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. We'll see. So that file is blank. That means I have to actually save my work, save it, and then I can refresh this. My tags are not aligned properly. Okay, see, I have two opening tags there. That's not good. Save, then refresh. Yeah, this is bigger than what we saw in index 1 because I'm using H2 rather than P. You will learn the difference between a lot of these tags in the crash course. One of the other good things with using Atom versus using text edit is all the files in my folder, I can see it here. So I can manage it as if I'm managing a project. For example, if I had images in that folder, if I had CSS files, JavaScript files, other what's it called, resources, they will probably they will show up here, and I can manage them better. I can navigate between them. So I can come in here and, okay, you know what? Let's change this to a what? Let's change this to an H3, right? And change this to an H3. Okay. Rather there, and then I can click on save all, and I can well, let's see. Well, it's not allowing me. It's not giving me open. So I have to go to the folder, to the folder where it's saved and open it. And you see this is a bit bolder than what I had before. It's still smaller than H2. But this is a step ahead, a step above text edit, right? But they still get the work done. Now, there is Visual Code, I think, some Visual Studio Code or something. Wait, give me a second. Yeah, Visual Studio Code. I think that's one of the most popular text IDE out there. You might want to use that. I've never used it, to be honest, but a lot of students in my class last semester used it. For me, when it comes to programming, I try to separate programming from what you use to program, because there are just too many different IDEs or editors out there, and programming is not about the editor. The editor or your IDE is about you. You yourself will determine the IDE you use, or the company where you work for might play a role in that. The last one I'm going to show you, which is like it's a heavier IDE, and most programmers, people that develop well, JavaScript programmers are also programmers, but if you're talking about Java developers, C++ developers, a lot of them tend to use what is known as Eclipse. I know I have it somewhere here. There you go. Eclipse is more robust. It allows you to install plugins that make your work a lot easier. I've used Eclipse a lot of times for Java development. I hardly use it for JavaScript because I hardly but anyway, so let's say you want to, forgive my inverted color scheme, but let's say you want to develop a web page or website, which is a combination of a collection of web pages here, excuse me. What you need to do is, let me see, where is this? Okay, sorry about that. So this is Eclipse. And if I wanted to open up a project or start a website project, I'm just going to go to new, because I use it more for Java. That's the default that's there. But you could also go to what's it called? There's project somewhere. I'm looking for it. I know I've seen it just now. Interesting. Well, new project. And then, oh yeah, web. So it's a static web project because that's what HTML gets you. So web next, it gives you a bunch of things to start up. Let's call it my first web site. Use default location, so it's asking me where to save it. Okay, it's saving it there. Do I want to save it there? Maybe, maybe not. I don't want to save it there. I want to save it in my under my site here. That's where I want to save it. Target runtime, nothing because there's no runtime needed. Configuration, default, you don't have to worry about a lot of that. Let's see. Okay. Okay, Eclipse would like to access. Okay. Open the web perspective. Remember my decision. Let's open it. So this is my public. So you see how it says HTML, what was there before. But anyway, let's create a new file under this because what we created was project. So new file, HTML file. I mean, you can use a whole bunch of these icons as well for it. So let's call this home.html or home index3 or index2.html, whatever you want to call it. This is going to be our, let's put it under public. Next. It's asking me what templates I want to use. I'm just going to keep it simple, HTML5. Finish. All right, so see how this gave me a bunch of things. So remember how I said some things go into the head section, some things go into the body section. Part of the things that go into the head section is the title of your web page or your website. So let's say, what are we selling? My cookie site, all right? And you'll see where that shows up in a minute. So in the body, let's type in a few things. Let's do H, so it gives me this, right? And then I can type that. This is for my cookies. Let's do a few nested tags. Moment I type in the less than sign, it gives me a context sensitive menu there. So what did I do? I think I typed something that it did not like. H2. Maybe because I'm actually nested. That's probably why. Let's see. H2, yeah, it was because I was nested. That's why I didn't like that. My grandma's recipe. How do you spell recipe? Something like that, right? And you can continue and continue and continue typing all your HTML there. So let's save. Okay. So let's open this guy. Home. So if you notice, when I was using text edit, I had to actually go to the folder, click on it, double click on it, and have it open. The same thing, even though Atom gave you a better environment, but the same thing, you had to go to the folder and open it. Even though Atom definitely was better than text edit. But with Eclipse, right clicking on the file, open with, and I can open it with where is it? The web browser, right? Keep going to another screen, and this is what you get. This is my cookies, my grandma's recipe, and you can do that. Now, this is not pretty. That's because there's no CSS here. This is not interactive. That's because there's no JavaScript. All those is what you will learn when you go through the crash courses. I just wanted to show you, some of the options you have in terms of your development environment. We've seen text edit. We've seen Atom. I will not advise you to use Atom. We've seen Eclipse. If you can download and use Visual Studio Code, I think your life might be a lot easier with that. If I get a moment, I might download it and maybe go through it and do it, a how-to video with it as well. But for now, I hope this was helpful, and have a good day.